on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Hey, Chris.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such an amazing place to live, work, and play. Our next guest, or our guest in the first half of the show today, is Sean Tindell, the Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety. And Sean, I usually read a lot of stuff and share a lot of inspirational quotes and all that, but I wanted to bring you on in today because it's been a while since you and I talked. And one of my commitments here on Coast Vue is to celebrate the men and women who are working so hard every day, the first responders of all stripes that are working every day to make this place safe. And, when people hear Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety, as we did last time, they don't realize what all is involved in that. And the last time we talked, you had gotten all your key people in place. You were still drinking from a fire hose. But you have a lot to say grace over in your normal day-to-day work, don't you?
Absolutely. And it's a big agency. There's a lot of responsibility, and there's so many things, and they diverge on what you're dealing with. From the start of the day to the finish of the day, I'll cover a multitude of topics and areas and deal with personnel in those areas. And so it's a good job. It's a lot of work, but it's been very fulfilling.
Well, you're well positioned, as you and I have talked about before, and I'm thrilled to have you back on Coast Vue to talk more about that. But you've had a political life. You've been a judge. You're a lawyer. You have had tremendous experience, frankly, and you're great with people, which I think is going to be one of your crowning achievements in this role, because at the end of the day, while you have tremendous responsibilities across lots of different divisions, which we'll cover here in just a second, it's still a people business, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And look, the reality is, and I tell folks this all the time, I'm not particularly great at anything. What I'm good at is assembling great people around me. And so that's allowed me to be successful. Really, anything that I've tried to do is making sure that those that I surround myself with are the cream of the crop. And when I look at my leadership team here at DPS and the things that we've been able to accomplish, it's really a testament to their value, more so than anything that I've brought to the table. So I've been lucky in those regards. Very proud of the folks that we have here. And you look at the strides that we've made at driver services and the things that we've talked about at NBI and investigating officer-involved shootings and the way that we've handled Mississippi Highway Patrol and graduating classes and trying to grow our numbers. It's all been about the team that we've put together.
It's so interesting to see the challenges we face today with coronavirus and all the other issues, training and recruitment. You mentioned that to some extent, but to be from the coast, we're incredibly proud of you. And so why don't I want to actually talk about, we'll probably do this in the second segment. You guys have had some success recently on human trafficking. Regular listeners of this show know that this is a really important conversation that I have when I talk about human trafficking. It's one of the worst things in our society, and I'm really pleased to see the coordinated effort that's focusing on that on the statewide level. Lots of our leaders are focused on it, and we'll come back to that in just a second. But let's remind people, kind of break it all down. What is it that you have to say grace over in terms of departments?
Okay. Well, the largest division that everybody knows is Mississippi Highway Patrol. And then there's 500 troopers, and we have about 1,500 employees. So they make up a third of our organization. But we also have the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, the Mississippi Office of Homeland Security, the Mississippi Crime Lab, the Medical Examiner's Office, Crime Stoppers. And just recently, we added the Capitol Police and the Commercial Trucking Enforcement Division, which came over from MDOT. We also have other divisions like the Criminal Information Center, which isn't a formal division, but it's something that we oversee that collects data on sex offenders. It collects data on crimes. It processes fingerprints for job applications for nursing homes and other state businesses that require background checks. So we stay very busy doing a multitude of things. And then, obviously the one that everybody also knows is the Driver Service Bureau, where we're interacting with the public on a regular basis. And we have over 30 stations across the state that we're having to monitor and keep up with. And really our Deputy Commissioner, Keith Davis from the Coast, has done a great job there, as the new director has as well. And just really proud of the strides that they've made. So.
Yeah, that was one of your goals, actually, to improve customer service there. And, there's a lot of technology, a lot of just pure customer service approaches that can be deployed. And you feel good about how the progress is happening there, huh?
Absolutely. Well, a year ago when we opened up, of course, we've been closed due to COVID for 8 weeks. I think my second week on the job, we reopened, and there was lines wrapped around the building, people getting there at 5 a.m. in tents and lawn chairs. The average wait a year ago was 2.5 hours. The average wait today is 15 minutes. And so that is a shining example of the success that, some of my team's been able to bring to the table, particularly at Driver Services.
That's incredible. That's really, really good news. So, Sean, when you woke up this morning, what's the thing, what's the top 2 or 3 things on your mind the most as you look across the areas of responsibility you have? I wouldn't say what do you worry about the most, but what do you think about the most?
One of the things when I wake up each day and I come to this job, I try to think of ways that we can make this a more efficient agency for the taxpayers, and then also creating a better work environment, and one in which everybody that works for me feels like they have ample opportunities if they're willing to apply themselves and utilize skill sets that they have and work hard. And that's really what I ask for, and that's what I try to drive. I believe that a work environment where people they know if they work hard, they have the ability to move up and do things beyond where they are now. I think that creates a good environment and a positive environment. So that's something I continually strive for. And then again, like I said, trying to make sure that we're efficient for the taxpayers of the state of Mississippi. With that being said, one of my immediate goals is trying to increase salaries for our law enforcement. I woke up this morning seeing that, now, granted it's far away, but the starting salary for a trooper in Alaska is $75,000. The starting salary for troopers in Mississippi is $41,000. And we have some local police departments that are starting salaries at $50,000. I believe we need to get our state law enforcement officer salaries up, and I think with that we get a better quality, and we get ones that are here willing to serve longer. And what we're seeing are raising costs when it comes to personnel, and law enforcement should also be getting paid more. And especially in today's world where there's a lot of complaints about law enforcement, we should be striving to get the best that we can and quality-wise, and I think it takes competitive salaries to do that. You guys have done a pretty good job of staying above the fray, in the past year or two, as far as having any major issues to deal with. I think one of the things you just mentioned, I think is really important, and that is there's a great book that was called Built to Last, and it talks about sort of enduring core values that you can build into an organization that create a sense of purpose and create a culture where people want to stay in that culture. In other words, you're not bringing someone in, they're working a year or two, and then they're moving on to somewhere else, but they're coming in and they're buying into not only a developmental opportunity for themselves to sort of become better at whatever they are, and maybe discover some new opportunities within the department that would give them some upward mobility in areas they never even imagined before. But when you have a group of directors that work for you that all sort of buy into that, and that gets driven into the organization, culturally it makes a difference, doesn't it? It makes a huge difference. And it was about a year ago I came across a book that talked about healthy organizations and what makes a healthy business a healthy organization. And one of the key things are what you're talking about. And then also the willingness to have open communications where folks feel like they can have the conversation. They won't get chastised for their thoughts or their ideas. And so I try to do that with my leadership team. When we sit down, I tell them I'm not so arrogant or naive to believe that my thoughts are the only way. I want to hear from you. Let's have a conversation about it, bring our minds together, and come up with the best ideas. A lot of people talk about diversity today, and diversity is great when we're talking about race, but I think the most important level of diversity is diversity of thought. And so when you bring folks from different spectrums together and you bring those thought processes, you're going to have better solutions. If you take 10 mechanics and they all work on Fords, that's great. They're going to be able to do a great job on a Ford. But if you're running a mechanic shop that services all vehicles, you better have mechanics that can deal with a broad spectrum of vehicles if you're going to find the best solutions. And that's really what we've tried to do, is bring the diversity of thought into this organization, not just folks that have always been here or done it a certain way, but to bring as many ideas as we can into the fold to find the best solutions.
When people believe they have a voice in the organization, when they really believe they have a voice. In other words, if they make a recommendation or if they have an issue and they express it and someone listens to them, whether they go forward with their idea or not, just the fact that they have someone there to listen to them, that in itself makes a big difference. This is the Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety, Sean Tindell. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the other side.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's J. Allen at J. Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the J. Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the J. Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Sean Tindell with us today. He's the Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety, a coast person. His family is here, and he's doing that track back and forth, and probably not doing as well as you hoped to do it when you went into the job. But it's tough to be the leader of such a significant organization and find the right balance with family, isn't it, Sean?
It is difficult, and we talked a little bit earlier that for 2 weeks this past summer, my wife and kids got to come up and spend a couple of weeks here, and that was very nice, and it felt good to come home to them each night of the week versus being up here for a few nights and then heading home. But look, people do this across the country. Our men and women in service do it. I've got a cousin that works offshore in Saudi Arabia, and they'll be gone for 60 days and back for 45. So. We do what we have to, and it's just, part of the job.
Yes, it is. Listen, when I was publisher of the newspapers that I was publisher of, I often said that by the time a decision got to me, man, it had gone through a lot of different levels. Rarely was there an easy decision when it got to me. I mean, it was usually tough. I mean, we had, there's a lot of counseling that needed to happen and lots of thinking about it and whatever, but no easy decisions come to the CEO. I can only imagine the kind of things you face on a daily basis. It's got to be not overwhelming, but I bet challenging at times.
Oh, it is. It is. There's no doubt. And I saw a great quote the other day from Nick Saban. It said, if you want to make everybody happy, don't be a leader, sell ice cream. And, and the reality is when you're there making those decisions, not everybody's going to be happy, but you got to make the call. And that's part of what it's about. And I think most of the people that work for me know that I will listen, I will hear them out, I'll evaluate their opinions, and then ultimately I'm going to have to make a decision. And look, I'm not always going to make the right decision. I'll make the wrong decision, or I could have made a better decision, and I'm willing to accept that and retreat from those and move on in another direction when those times come. But I will say, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, the diversity of thought that goes into those decisions, knowing that that's there and evaluating them, makes a big difference. And when the team all comes together and they all go, you know what, we think that's the best call, that certainly makes it a lot easier. So.
It really does. Hey, listen, one of the things that I remember most about my time in New Orleans when I was president and publisher of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com is the time that I spent with people like Mitch Landrieu, at the time the mayor of New Orleans, and studying how much younger violent criminals have become and the kind of issues that they were facing today. And when he had a book that he kept, and I won't give any details about the book, but the book was really a compelling book about how young people were who were murdered in the city. And it was a reminder to him to never lose sight, never get numb to the reality that there's, first of all, we've got work to do in the community to improve the situation for everyone. And second, a reminder of the very kind of difficult and sort of at times very violent situations that law enforcement finds themselves in. I'm just curious, with that said, how often do you think about the incredible heroes that surround you? I mean, the most simplistic, roadside, ask for someone's driver's license can turn into this like deadly situation in a moment's notice, and they have to always be prepared. I bet that's humbling to be around people who are willing to perform their duties the way that you are able to see them perform them on a daily basis.
100%. And I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I am with the men and women in law enforcement in the state of Mississippi and our first responders, and having the opportunity. And when I came in, I told them off the bat, look, I've never been to a law enforcement academy. I've never written a traffic ticket. I've never conducted a criminal investigation. I have been a prosecutor, and I have been a business owner, and I've been a judge. But through all those things, what I really was an advocate, either for my clients or for justice on the court. And I'm going to be an advocate for each and every one of you. And I'll take my skill sets and we'll go to the legislature and we'll try to get you the tools that you need to be successful and to be safe and get back home to your family. And that's really one of my biggest focuses. And we've traveled around the state. I've gone to each of the troop districts. I've met with sheriffs. I've met with police chiefs, talked to their associations, trying to get their input. And I've told the police chiefs, I will be an advocate, and the sheriffs, I will be an advocate for both of your associations at the Capitol when there are things that we need to protect the men and women of blue that are serving our state. And so that's been real good. And I'm humbled to be in a position to help those folks. And because I am in awe of them each and every day. There's so many times that they do little things, helping somebody change a tire, helping somebody that might have dementia get back home. We had a child that had been missing, and a trooper came across them on a dirt road out in a field and got them back to their loved ones. And they do those things every day, and it goes unnoticed and unrecognized. And I want them to know that we see it and we're proud of them. And again, getting back to the salaries, I'm going to go in and advocate as my number one issue, trying to get the salaries of law enforcement up in Mississippi.
Yeah, it is. They are heroes. They literally are heroes. And as Haley Barbour used to say, media doesn't cover all the planes that land safely. We live in a world where only people read about the exceptions. And law enforcement, as the police chief in Biloxi has said more than once, it's one of the only professions in the world where something that happens 1,000 miles away, a single incident that happens 1,000 miles away, can be projected on you. You know, as if that is inherent in you. That's actually a sad part of the reality of law enforcement, isn't it?
It is, and it's the world we live in. You know, in some ways, we've never been more connected, and at the same token, we feel like we're more apart than we've ever been, and it's the sad, I won't say reality, because I don't think it's the reality, but it's certainly how it feels. And,
hey, there's an interesting. My son lives in New York City, and I don't know if you're following the mayor's race there very closely, but it looks like the candidate that's emerging there is someone who came from law enforcement, and he's a law and order Democrat, actually, moderate Democrat. Looks like he's probably going to be the next mayor of the city. And he believes that public safety is one of the most important things out there. And it's good to see that, actually. It's good to see, sanity come back to the conversation, this defund the police effort and all this silliness that came about. I don't think anyone, I don't care what their political persuasion are, I don't think anyone would agree that creating communities that are not safe is the way to go. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Hey, listen, you guys have made some real progress on human trafficking. I've talked a lot about that recently, and frankly, over the past year. Human trafficking is not something that happens over in Africa or in Europe or wherever. It could happen. It could be your next door neighbor, literally. Tell me about what you guys did recently.
Well, and you're exactly right. One of the things when I tell people when we're talking about human trafficking, I remind them that this isn't just a Mississippi problem, and it's not just a problem that occurs everywhere else. It occurs all over the place. And so realizing that this is a very, very big issue. And look, it's been around for a while. It's not the movie Taken. It's not Liam Neeson getting off, the plane and his daughter in Paris and getting picked up like that. Those things do happen, but they're rare. It's more local than that. And so, and it's been happening. And realizing the issues that we face, the Attorney General, Lynn Fitch, has led the effort, as well as our governor and Tate Reeves, trying to combat human trafficking, and has tasked us to work together on that. And what we've tried to do is get together with the Trucking Association, bus drivers across the state, and work with them on our kind of see something, say something, be the solution campaign, where we've asked the citizens of the state of Mississippi, particularly those in trucking, to be our eyes and ears, because there's only so many places that law enforcement can be at one time. We can't see everything. We can't hear everything. But with the general public's help, and if they will call and let us know if they recognize something that is suspicious, or see a neglected child, or a child that just doesn't fit in a truck stop, to call, let us know, and then we can launch an investigation into it. And so we've gotten a lot of great feedback. The trucking industry has sometimes gotten a bad rap when it comes to human trafficking, but the ones that are the industry leaders are very enthusiastic about being part of the solution here, and they have dove straight in and trying to do courses for CDL drivers to make sure they know the signs to look for, and then help us with this campaign. And I can tell you, talking about human trafficking, talking about it being a neighbor, it's something that's been around for a while, and it used to be exploitation of a minor is what you kind of called it. But the reality is you get family members that are involved in drugs. Mom and dad have a drug habit and they don't have money. They want to support their drug habit. So they will offer up their children to drug dealers and then they end up being in part of cartels and it goes down that road. So it's very sad. And the reality is our children probably go to school with somebody that has been a victim of human trafficking. They've sold their body, they've sold sex, they've been dragged into those situations. And so really just trying to get the public to recognize those signs is so important and letting them know that we need their help.
Well, listen, I congratulate you guys on keeping the focus on. I think we got to educate people, and the campaign that you talked about is really important. Every child that's saved from this, I mean, it has such an incredibly negative impact on their lives. And as a father, I know you're a father, I'm a father, it sickens me. And, it's one of those things that's out of sight, out of mind. If our leaders aren't focused on it, we're not going to be focused on it as a community, and we are focused on it. And hopefully we can continue to keep our eyes on that scourge in our society. So,
and I can tell you one other big part of it, it's not just the prosecution and stopping it, but then you've got these children victims that you got to find homes for and get them on the path to rehabilitation and success and getting past the trauma that they've been through.
Yes, very, very tough issue. Sean Tindell, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, buddy.
Always good.
Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to supertalkmsgulfcoast.com.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Whether you're brand new to the DIY craze or a seasoned veteran, the Handyman Show has something for you. Buddy Slowick shares tips and tricks on everything from odd jobs to complete build-outs, from small home repairs to serious construction. So no matter if you're at the master carpenter level or not quite sure how to use a level, the Handyman Show answers your questions with a healthy dose of humor and some great music too. Saturdays, 10 to noon on SuperTalk Mississippi and on SuperTalk TV.
SuperTalk Mississippi. Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth. When you want the truth. Simply because it might hurt some feelings. And nothing but the truth. Lose some subscribers. You want the Gallo Radio Show. I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead. The Gallo Radio Show. And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast View with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota, Gulf Coast Business Supply, and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed that conversation with Sean Tindell. He is a terrific statewide leader. I love his humility. I love the fact that he's willing to make the tough decision, but he's listening. He's listening to people. He wants people in the Department of Public Safety across all the spectrums of that organization. He wants them to have a voice and wants them to know they have a voice. And he believes that diversity of thought is one of the most important things he could encourage. And it's great to see a leader that's has so much good, he's been a senator, he's been a judge, he's been a lawyer, he's obviously still a lawyer. Now he's a leader of a statewide organization that is incredibly important to this state. And they're focused on really important stuff like human trafficking, for example. I love that part of the conversation. When he and I get back together again, we're going to boil down a little bit deeper on the human trafficking situation. But it's Friday, and today is the day. We have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, and we were talking off the air about the transition that he's making that we announced a couple of shows ago to the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. What's the latest on that transition, Jeff?
Well, I'm should be starting the new gig sometime here in the next couple of weeks in time for the start of Saints training camp, which is right around the corner, Ricky. It's going to be here before you know it, and all this crazy rain we've had in the area. There's a good and bad to that. It's cooled things down considerably, but I'm worried that the Saints are going to have to go indoors for a lot of these practices, and that's not going to be good for all the fans that I'm sure are itching to get back out and watch them for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah, we're supposed to have over the next few days a string of kind of normal afternoon thunderstorm situation, normal summer. But I watch very closely what's happening in New Orleans from the rain point of view. We tend to talk about just about every single show. I mean, from the spring all the way through this point in the summer, it's been just tremendous, record-breaking amount of rain. It's just been unbelievable. And here in coastal Mississippi, I said this before, but Biloxi Bay, we would be catching crabs now and catching, speckled trout and redfish, and, the summer pattern would be here. We're catching bass where we usually catch speckled trout. I mean, it's just literally not any speckled trout. I mean, they're out at the islands, of course, but not in the backwaters. The backwaters are just, they're just drainage basins for the rest of Mississippi, and the amount of fresh water is just truly unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it before. And let's just hope, my wife keeps pointing out that if we were to get hit by a hurricane, let's hope that doesn't happen. But if we were, think about the saturated ground and how less stable the trees are going to be because of the amount of rain in the water table. It's just incredible. And New Orleans, man, I've been watching in New Orleans, I mean, special news announcements and all these challenges with the pumping systems and flooded streets and, all these challenges, man. It's been incredible, hasn't it?
Yeah, you talked about the standing water table. I mean, I see it at Audubon Park every day. I mean, there's just nowhere for the water to go. And when we have this much water and rainwater, there's nothing the pumping stations can do. I mean, it just overwhelms the infrastructure. And I think they said the other day, Ricky, that we've already had enough rain to equal what we get normally in a full year. And here we are just a little over halfway through the year. So that's scary. But there's one thing that has happened. It's cooled things off. So I'm hoping maybe that'll have some kind of effect on the waters in the Gulf. Maybe it'll keep them a little cooler. Maybe we won't have quite as bad a tropical storm season.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not. People always wonder, do these weird weather conditions, are they somewhat of a harbinger of what's to come? We've had enough challenges lately. It's time to stop raining, enjoy some sunny weather. You're going to go on a little vacation to Florida. So who knows, man? Who knows what the future holds. But, man, you better take a break. Because once training camp starts, there's no rest for the weary after that point, is there?
No, I mean, once the season starts in late July, we really only get about one break until, at least from me, until the first week of February, because that's the Super Bowl, and I'm always attending that because of the Hall of Fame meeting that we have every year. So really, there's very little break. And while, look, I'm not doing manual labor or anything, Ricky, it still is, your brain has to be on for about 6-7 months straight, and it can definitely wear you down. So it's always good to get away and recharge your batteries before the long haul.
Well, in addition to your media gig, both at WVUE, I was giving you a competitor station. And of course, soon to be at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. You're a celebrated writer. I have your book, Peyton and Breeze, The Men Who Built the Greatest Offense in NFL History by Jeff Duncan, the foreword by Steve Gleason. I have it here. But, it comes up a lot, so I actually have it propping up my mic here now. And we'll be able to refer to it often. But it's just a good book that talks about leadership in general. And it's going to be so interesting as this PhD in offense, as we pass this PhD, the reign of PhD that Drew Brees had to a new person. We don't know who that person is going to be yet, but it's going to be very interesting to watch Sean Payton work his magic, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, it's funny, Ricky, I saw Nick Saban talking at the SEC Media Days this week, and he was asked about their offense and how they tailor their offense at Alabama to the different quarterbacks. So you can think about it, who they've had come through their last few years. Jalen Hurts, Tua came through after that. And then, of course, they had Mac Jones last year, now Bryce Young, all different styles of quarterbacks. And he made a point that I think is very similar to what Sean Payton and the Saints do with their offense. They have an offense that has enough volume in it and enough flexibility to where it really doesn't matter what style the quarterback is. They can morph it to fit the style of whatever quarterback they have. You just have to have the volume of play calling in there. And that's exactly what the Saints are going to do now. Whoever gets this job, whether it's Taysom or Jameis or both, this offensive system will adapt to their strengths, just like it did when Drew Brees was here, a classic kind of drop back quarterback. So I'm really interested to see how they retool it and what it looks like. We've had a little bit of a glimpse of it the past few years with Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater, but it's going to be fascinating to see it over the course of a full season.
It really will be. So we have a familiar face that's coming back into the fold. Took a physical yesterday. Give us an update on that.
Yeah, linebacker Quan Alexander, who was a real fan favorite last year when he came in via trade by the 49ers. He's had a lot of bad luck with injuries. I mean, he's been hurt almost every year in the NFL, and it's always been a different injury. Last year, he tore his Achilles and was put on the injured reserve list. But when he's healthy, he is a very good player, and the Saints have a need at linebacker. So it makes a lot of sense that they would show interest in him. I think he's going to look at some other teams as well. I think the key for Quan Alexander is going to be what is his asking price on the market. Because he's had so many injuries, I think a lot of teams are hesitant to give him a big deal. What's he going to be willing to compromise for a little bit lesser price tag? I think all that's going to factor into whether he signs here in New Orleans or not, because I know he liked it here playing alongside Demario Davis, but he's going to have to come down with what his market rate has been in previous years because of these injury concerns. And he's going to have to pass the physical, which I'm sure he takes in each one of these team stops because of his track record.
Hey, so listen, it'd be interesting to know your opinion about this. If he can come back and he's healthy and he can stay healthy, how much gas is left in his tank in terms of number of years being viable? Because one of the things that made him so good last year was his quickness on the field. What's your thought about that? Well,
the Achilles injury is a tough one to overcome sometimes. I'd have to watch him and see him at practice and see how he's, overcome that, if he has overcome it, because that can really hurt your explosiveness. We saw it with the big man, DeMarcus Cousins, who played here for a while in the NBA and has come back, and he's still playing at an NBA level, but he's lost that explosiveness you see as a basketball player. So I really want to see how Quan responds to that. He looks great when you see the videos of his workouts. He was a tremendous athlete before the injury, but it will be interesting to see. I know the Saints really value his energy that he plays with. I think he, alongside C.J. Gardner-Johnson, really brought the juice to that defense last year when they were on the field together. And that's half the battle in defense, is just flying to the football. So I know they've got interest. He fits a hole that they have in their roster right now beside Demario Davis. So it would make sense if they can come to an agreement on terms to get him back here in the fold before camp.
It's hard to believe that training camp is already about to start over again. I mean, in some ways it seems like it takes forever for the season to start again. But when you get here, you think, wow, we're already here at this moment. It's incredible, really. Hey, look, the NBA Finals is over. And I don't follow the NBA very closely, but I do follow the NBA when it gets to this point. And what's so notable about this past NBA final is that we saw a small market team do well. And I told Jeff during the break, I'm kind of sick of hearing about the Lakers. I'm glad that there's not a conversation anymore about creating super teams in these big, rich markets, and that small markets actually have a chance, which might be a nice little, incentive actually for New Orleans. So we'll come back to that after this break and see what Jeff has to say about that. We'll see you after this break.
You can also listen live to Super Talk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open Super Talk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. We have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, soon to be back to NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Jeff, when I went to break, I was talking about the NBA Finals, and if you think about it, there are two really important points here. The first one, now that the NBA Finals is behind us, is we can talk about the ramifications of a small market success and how that sort of applies to New Orleans. The other thing is, now that the NBA Finals is over with, the Pelicans actually may get a new head coach now. So let's start with the small market issue and why this whole notion of the super team and nobody will ever be able to compete at that level, that myth is gone now. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think a lot of people were pulling from Milwaukee because they were kind of the underdog in a small market, and Giannis Antetokounmpo had really kind of looked around, I think, a year ago, considered potentially jumping to bigger markets. Instead, he came back to Milwaukee and decided he wanted to do it in Milwaukee. He loves playing there. He likes the smaller market. And I think that's refreshing for the NBA. These super teams, this era we're in, I think it's turned off a lot of the casual fans because they view it as something of a shortcut to winning a championship. For better or worse, that's just the way I think a lot of fans feel. So it's nice to see a guy get drafted by a team in a small market, stay there, and win a title when he could have taken the shortcut maybe to a super team himself. I think that is going to go a long way toward the NBA maybe addressing some of these concerns because their business model is not the same as the NFL. They don't have the revenue sharing that allows the New Orleans and Green Bays of the NFL to compete with their big market brethren. So I think Milwaukee winning this title certainly opened a lot of eyes and can serve as a really good model for the New Orleanses of the NBA. We saw it happen in San Antonio for a number of years, and certainly it can be done if you go about it the right way.
50 points in the finals. Good Lord.
I know. That's got to be one of the greatest performances in NBA history. We'll look back on this, Ricky, as, just an epic performance. I mean, he did it all. I think more so than just the point total, just watching the game was just his energy. I mean, I think he ended up with 5 or 6 block shots, had over 10 rebounds. I mean, the effort he put out for a superstar was infectious to his teammates. When you see the most talented player on the team giving that kind of effort, that truly inspires everyone around you. It's what great players do. They lift the boats of everyone else in the harbor. And he did that. And he also, I think, was remarkable from the free throw line. He's kind of struggled there throughout his career. And I think he was, last I saw, I think he was like 17 for 19, something like that from the line, which in a pressure on the line game like that certainly speaks to his greatness.
Boy, it really does spell, at least we can see now what the formula could be for New Orleans. So now the finals over with. If we get the right coach who can relate to the players, we could build the same kind of thing here in New Orleans, couldn't we?
Well, I think so. I think there's a real opportunity because the way Zion Williamson is wired, Ricky, he's wired a lot like Giannis. I mean, he's not bright eyes for the big city. I think he would like to do it in a smaller market, much the way Tim Duncan did in San Antonio and David Robinson. So I think there's a real opportunity, but the key is you've got to be successful. Players like Zion Williamson want to win, and the Pelicans have to turn it around on the court. They've got enough talent to win. They've just got to show progress, I think, to bolster his confidence in the future here.
Okay, so what's the latest on the new coach?
Well, Willie Green's going to be the coach, and he was on the bench last night for the Phoenix Suns. 39-year-old guy, very well thought of around the league. I expect him to be introduced here in the next few days in New Orleans. He's a guy that a lot of people around the NBA feel like was in line to become a head coach. He's got a championship pedigree, won 2 rings as an assistant with the Golden State Warriors. And I like his background that he was a starter for a while in the league. He was a backup. He's kind of been something of a journeyman. So I think he's going to be able to relate to a lot of different players on the roster, not just the stars, but also the guys that are at the end of the bench playing roles. And he comes with a track record of development as well of young players. So I think he fits the mold of what they were looking for. He's going to probably bring in a couple of veteran assistants, which I think is smart. So we'll see what kind of staff he puts together. But from all indications around the league, Willie Green was a guy that was just more than ready to become a head coach and was a key target for New Orleans early on in this search.
Jeff, what does Zion do during the offseason?
Well, he comes and goes. I mean, he goes back home to South Carolina a lot, travels a lot because he has a lot. This is when guys like Zion have to get done a lot of their off-the-court business. So for Jordan Brand, some of his sponsors that he's got, this is when they get it done. He hangs out with people like you wouldn't expect, like basketball players at Tulane and University of New Orleans, lower profile, obviously, but if you think about it, Ricky, they're the same age as him. So it makes a lot of sense. Those are the kind of people he hangs out with. He's not really caught up in and hanging out with celebrities or being starstruck. That's just not the way he is.
Because he is a star. But he's a kid. I mean,